With CPI data coming in the next 24 hours from the upload of this video, we are going to be seeing some volatility. Despite the inflation being lower or higher than expected, we could be getting a drop or a major pump. So we want to be cautious when we're trading in these hours. I will be going live stream throughout the CPI data coming out, and we'll check to see if any of the scenarios that are going to be mentioned in this video update are going to come to fruition. Of course, there are many scenarios. We go level to level here, but I can already tell you that hitting all-time high is extremely likely to happen in the next coming days. Now, why is that? Well, basically, we have come all the way up to the 0.88 Fibonacci, and we were not looking at this momentum to the downside to be bearish at all. We knew that all of this was going to be corrective, and we were either going to follow the range and then head to all-time high in the next coming weeks, if not days. Now, the main reason is because of this. Now, you may be seeing this scenario throughout social media or wherever, your favorite crypto YouTuber, about looking at this movement to the downside being a five-wave structure to the downside, being an impulse, and looking for an ABC and then continuation to the downside. We were very much confident last week, since we created this range right over here, that this was not going to happen. We were going to continue the range and head up to all-time high in the next coming days after finishing this sideways corrective move. Now, the main reason why your wave 4 has overlapped your wave 1. So that is a hard invalidation to look at this as a five-wave structure impulsive move. Your alternative was a diagonal, okay, an expanding diagonal, but you don't like these scenarios. If you do have some type of corrective move in play, that has the highest probability always. And also, we were checking this movement to the downside, where we had a three-wave structure to the downside, the corrective move, and then the movement down. So we were not labeling this as a wave 3. We're likely not going to successfully break down throughout the next coming days, and we are going to get some kind of a bounce, continue the range, and head up to all-time high. If you haven't checked that live stream, that was on last Wednesday and part of Thursday, that we were pretty confident that we were not going to break down successfully below $100,000, purely based on this. This is not an impulse. You overlapped with your wave 4 and you formed a three-wave structure to the downside here. There's no impulsive move down here, and this ended up in a three-wave structure as expected. Now, as we got this move to the upside, well, what do we see next? Let's talk about the levels from yesterday, because the golden pocket from all-time highs to the lows did get a reaction. However, the price blasted through, and the next level for a possible reaction was the 7-8 with the point of control of this range. But look what happened. We blasted through the level. No reaction, no perfect touch and rejection. We just continued to the upside. And yesterday, we were pretty much clear that this zone is a no interest shorting zone until we hit the 0.88 Fibonacci that you could sniper a little scalp short. Okay, if you did get into the 0.88, then eventually you would be taking some profits. The price moved down over $1,000, but it was a reaction zone. As mentioned on yesterday's stream, not interested in a short if we break the golden pocket and we continue to the upside. No reaction at this zone. We continue up. On next level for a possible pullback is the 0.88 Fibonacci at $110,600. That is where we got the rejection today. So we see in the price just pumping and pumping, all right? The corrections have been to the upside. We pumped and the corrective move has been to the upside, and we got the next pump, right? And it's just pumping and pumping, and the highest probability is hitting all-time high maybe today or maybe in the next coming days, because there are some local bearish case scenarios. Regardless, if the price were to get rejected in this zone, there is still a high chance in hitting all-time high, okay? So we overall looking for all-time high today or maybe in the next coming days, despite a possible correction. Now, what kind of correction could happen? Well, let's break it down here throughout this episode, okay? We're going to go with the extreme bullish case scenario, of course. First with bullish scenarios, because the price is pumping and it just does look like it wants to continue to the upside. And of course, that would be this finished WXY, where we had a zigzag move down from all-time high. You got your complex correction in your wave X, and then your zigzag to finish your double zigzag WXY. And right now we are just pumping very aggressively, right? Where we do have your wave 1, okay, very shallow pullback 2 here, and then you are developing your wave 3 still, okay? So if we were to get a corrective move here, 3-wave structure to wave 4, hitting the 382 from the low to the high, 50% 382 Fibonacci zone. This is very choppy, very wedgy. Then, of course, get the next leg up. We would have an official 5-wave structure to the upside, which is very, very bullish. Of course, this 5-wave could create a swing failure pattern, but overall, this will not be bearish, okay? Yes, you could get a rejection. You could form a 5-wave structure breaking out, okay? Very nice. And then you form a kind of a double top, and then people will be like, okay, here we go again, another double top at all-time high. It's time to correct to much lower levels. But if we do form this kind of price action, we got our possible wave 3 that's possibly finishing soon, then a corrective move, right? If we do get a choppy correction and then get another explosive move, we will officially have a 5-wave impulsive move to the upside, meaning that the rejection that could happen throughout the next couple of days can be a very bullish pullback. We are labeling this as your possible wave 2, and then we finally get our wave 3 in the next coming days, really getting into price discovery, right? This would be the massive bullish outcome. We need a little bit of more development here on this price action as it's, looking at slightly higher time frame. So yeah, we have the potential of forming a 5-wave structure. This is what we need to see throughout the next coming hours, next couple of days. Another correction, another impulsive move to claim all-time highs to really look at this scenario, okay? That is one outcome here. Very, very bullish. What is the other extreme bullish case scenario? Well, that is a multiple 1-2 setup here, right? Where you have finished your WXY. We got your 1-2. These wave 2s are very shallow in pullback. This is why we are considering the bearish case scenario, okay? I will let you know right away with, the other bearish case scenarios in the next coming minutes. But this would be the extreme bullish case scenario. You got your wave 1 and 2, not even retracing to the 0.236 Fibonacci. This is uncommon. We need to say it right. It doesn't usually happen, only in very bullish market environment, which could be the case for Bitcoin, right? When it goes, it just goes, right? We got a wave 1 and 2, your next wave 1 and 2, and then you have another correction here for your second wave 1 and 2, and you will be blasting out here in your wave 3, right? And then 4-5, 4-5, we really in price discovery, it's just extremely bullish, and we go to much higher levels in the next coming days. We need to consider this scenario because this could have been the end of the correction, and now the price is just really pumping shallow corrections and just continuing to the upside. So that is definitely a scenario to take into consideration where we see this as the end of a correction and we heading up to price discovery. I want to let you know that I am no longer in short positions. I did have a short position here, did close at profits, got stopped out at break even. I did attempt the golden pocket retracement here, okay, with a very small amount. We did get stopped out, okay. This was a scenario that we mentioned also in the Discord. So, we got the reaction, tight stop losses. If we break this zone, I am no longer interested to be in any short position. So we're managing risk as explained in yesterday's video. I do not want to be part of a short if we break above the golden pocket and we continue pumping, okay? The only level that got rejected was the 0.88. Nice for a little scalp, okay? Preferably you're in long positions from lower. And I'm still in that long position from the swing failure pattern, right? This is basically a swing trade. Really struggling here to find an intraday setup just because the price hasn't retraced properly and it's just kind of mooning, right? It just really wants to go and go. So overall, bullish, looking for all-time high, no longer in short positions. I am interested in short positions and I want to break down here, what kind of shorts I'm looking for. If you are interested in trading, you do have bluffing with a 20% deposit bonus, okay? You got all of these different perks. You also have weeks, all right, with $30,000 deposit bonus as well, and a 25% fee reduction, all right, with the links down below. You do have weeks, the second link down below, and you do have bluffing here, the fourth link in the description, okay? Take advantage because you only need an email and a password, no VPN needed to trade on these exchanges. So let's break down here the other scenarios. The extreme bullish case scenario, we are waiting for all-time high to happen, okay? That's just the highest probability. Despite being this, multiple 1-2s, we're heading to higher levels. or you possibly in the formation here of an impulse. You're still developing your third wave, all right, throughout the next coming hours and the next coming days. You just finish a large impulsive move, which eventually would bring that corrective move and then continuation to the upside, right? This correction could be very interesting if this were to be how the price does develop in the next couple of days. What are the bearish case scenarios? I mean, the bearish case scenarios are leaning of sideways momentum. The extreme bearish case scenario would be dipping down below $100,000, but it would still be bullish, okay? Just because all of this is part of a corrective structure, right? Despite if this is the end, if this is not the end and the correction does continue, we are still looking for a breakout of all-time high and possibly price discovery, right? Get that big major breakout and go to 115, 120, right? Throughout the next coming days after the breakout. But these bearish case scenarios, we need to just take them into consideration. Which ones are they? Well, let's dive in right away with the first one right over here, right? Which would be this one over here, right? Which is literally a very large ABC flat. As we do realize since last week that this is a corrective structure, labeling it as a three-wave structure to the downside, what we could be seeing right now is all of this, instead of being bullish, a three-wave corrective move, right? Where we have the pump, sideways to the upside correction, and then we do have the next pump, right? You can label a five-wave move here, a very shallow pullback here, and then now you're developing your next leg up. Overall, it looks possibly very three-wavy, okay? It could be a three-wave move, and this is what we want to take into consideration. Now, possibly from this latest move down in the latest move up to the upside in the last 24 hours, has been a possible next impulsive move to the upside. But that is just to finish your ABC movement. So yes, it can double top from the local highs, okay? We could maybe stretch our legs to hit all-time high on that fifth wave, but ultimately we need to be paying attention for the possible swing failure pattern. And this would be a large ABC. Now, this could be a running flat. It could be an expanding flat, which it actually breaks down below 100K. But that's just considering the structure. We do have a possible three-wave structure, and we're not possible. It's kind of confirmed right now as we do hit the 0.88. We confirmed that this is very, very likely since we created this range and we overlap these pivot lows. We were not thinking about the bearish case, guys, since last week. You know, it was very likely corrective. We're not looking at a five-wave structure, no ABC up here, and then continuation down. This was just not a scenario that we were taking into consideration ever since we formed this price action last week. So, yes, we do get this movement up. Worst case scenario, right, before blasting off from all-time high, which is a possibility. Let's leave it that way. Regardless of what happens, all-time high is kind of imminent, right? Because the bearish case scenario is actually looking for a flat structure. We get below 100K and then we head up to all-time high later on after moving to the downside. But we need to consider it. We have a three-wave move down. This could be labeled as a three-wave move to the upside, okay? Something to pay attention. Now, if that were to be the case, how will I recognize, instead of trying to catch a swing failure pattern, because we do realize the bullish case scenarios, which is multiple 1-2s, we're just breaking out price discovery. This is definitely a scenario that could be happening, guys, if we get some volume kicking in and we're just flying, okay? So what we need to see here to stay on the conservative side for a confirmation, because if this were to be the case, well, we have the zigzag down, zigzag to the upside, and then we are looking for a five-wave move down very aggressively, most commonly to really get below the start of the A wave, to the end of the A wave, right? This is most common. So what we would want to see in this rejection is a clear five-wave structure to the downside, and the bounce is what we will be looking interesting for the short, okay? So for that leg down, we want to see a clear impulse. Instead of trying to catch the swing failure pattern from all-time high, which could really break out, right? And if you don't manage risk, you can get wrecked, okay? You want to see that clear move to the downside of rejection in a five-wave structure, because then the bounce could be looking very interesting, right? And you want to be in this wave right over here. regardless if this wave, right, gets a bounce later on, it doesn't matter. It's the wave you want to be in. So you need that confirmation breakdown and that bounce, all right, to get into the short position safely, because we could be just blasting out from all-time high throughout the next coming hours, if not days. Could we create a double top scenario? Absolutely yes. This is something that I will be monitoring very, very carefully here on this leg up, okay? Very, very cautious to see that if that scenario could happen. But obviously that is reserved, of course, for the Discord and the Telegram. If you are interested in joining, it is the first link down below, legends, okay? Join the community on Telegram if you want more information, or if not, join the Discord, which is the 6th link down below in the description, okay? This will take you to the website, and this is where we have the modules, daily updates, possible setups that we are looking at here, okay? If you want to take your trading to the next level, well, eventually the Discord, okay, is your option where you have all of the modules as well, okay? This is the website that will be leading you here with that link down below in the description. So let's go right away with the other scenarios, okay? This is a possibility, right? The bearish outcome here. It's very much a scenario that could happen. And another scenario that could develop is a sideways WXY, okay? Where we have the zigzag move to the downside, all right? In your W, we got the zigzag move up here in your wave X. And then here we have two options, right? This is a sideways WXY that could develop in the next coming days. Of course, this is only, you know, we don't have the waves. We need to see the waves, how we develop. Then we can be very confident to say, okay, guys, this is a WXY. And we can be confident that we are going to be blasting out through all-time high. There are a few ways that this could develop. Of course, we could see that movement to the downside, then the movement to the upside, and then the movement to the downside again, forming a flat, okay, to finish your wave W. This is how the price action could develop, right? We ain't going to go with levels and exact scenarios. We'll be confident once we get these waves formed to say, okay, guys, it's kind of confirmed that there is a high chance that we do have a sideways WXY. Once we get the drop, claim the highs, claim the lows again, right? It's a bit of a volatile move. This could happen on CPI data. It's just to take into consideration that it is an option. Now, you might think, well, you have no clue. You have so many scenarios that you don't know what's going to happen. Well, if the price were to move like this, quick flash crash, movement up, rejection here, double top, and then claim the lows again, this will be the confirmation. This will be the moment that I'll be very bullish. I'm interested in getting into a long position in this zone because I do understand that the price could move like this, right? This would be the level that I would be interested in getting into a long position. So I don't know if it's going to move like this, but I do understand that it can move like this. So if it does move like this, this is where I would be interested in getting into the long position, right? What would be another scenario? Well, another scenario would be forming a triangle, right? Where you just get the drop, zigzag, move up, move down, okay? And you're just ranging here throughout the next coming days. If we were to be going sideways here throughout the next coming days, this would be a confirmed triangle, and this triangle would be bullish because what we're looking at this triangle is the impulsive move up and the sideways complex correction, which will confirm that it is a corrective WXY. As we finish that triangle, of course, we need a few lower highs being developed here. I know, guys, this is boring, but it's just a way on how the price could develop. And this would be the very interesting zone, okay, or the breakout of the triangle to get in with stop loss at the low and then look for ultimately all-time highs and price discovery, okay? We will have time throughout the live streams to really check out here this higher time frame scenarios in the next coming days. That was it for this video update, just looking at a few scenarios here. Of course, if the price were to come down and we do see a multiple 1-2 setup right over here, the most important level that needs to provide support, okay, which I am kind of interested in a long position here, another long position, I'm already in a long, would be the value area high, which is also in confluence with the previous day point of control. Now that is a level that does have a lot of confluence, 107.7. This is really the last line in the sand here before we get a, you know, larger move to the downside potentially, right? That could be interesting for this multiple 1-2 setup, right? 107.7, value area high of the range, point of control of yesterday, something to consider. And we do have the Elliott wave count here of a multiple 1-2 setup. There is a possibility, next level of support, all right, that we are interested in. Thank you very much for joining, and I will see you in the next one.